Where land and water meet, this ancient predator is making people tremble. This is the story of the confrontation between hunters and invasive crocodiles. In Zambia's Bangweulu swamp, giant Nile crocodiles are spreading at an alarming rate. They are increasingly appearing in the village fringes, where people still depend on fishing and cattle grazing. Some are more than 5 meters long, weighing nearly half a ton. Quietly lurking in the murky water, the slightest movement is enough to make the lake explode in terror. At night, when the moon shines on the water, golden eyes silently emerge, watching every step along the reed banks. Cattle disappear, boats capsize, and sometimes even people are swept into the darkness and never return. Biologists believe that climate change and overfishing have driven the crocodiles downstream, making Bangweulu their new territory. Now, in the middle of the vast waters, licensed hunters have stepped in. They hunt not for pleasure, but for the safety of the community. Because when nature is out of balance, the line between predator and human suddenly becomes frighteningly fragile. Can humans control this predator that has existed for 200 million years? The origins of the crocodile invasion in Bangweulu swamp are rooted in a natural paradox. 2 decades ago, after the Zambian government cracked down on poaching, the once vulnerable Nile crocodile population began to rebound. At the same time, a warming climate has shortened dry seasons, created more stagnant water, and expanded habitats around swamps and rivers. These seemingly positive changes have inadvertently created the perfect conditions for crocodiles to thrive. According to ecological reports, the number of crocodiles in Bangweulu swamp has tripled in just 20 years, from a few hundred to thousands. When densities become too high, natural food sources such as fish and waterfowl are depleted. Crocodiles have begun to leave deep water, creeping into areas near villages where buffalo, cows, goats, and even fishermen work. At first, it was just sporadic attacks. A buffalo disappeared, a boat capsized, but gradually, fear covered the swamp. Locals said that one night they heard the sound of buffalo screaming in the muddy water. The next morning, there was only a trace of blood on the lake's surface. Before, they lived far away from humans. Now, just stepping out of the house, you can see the tracks of buffalo on the shore, said a fisherman. Bangweulu, once a symbol of life, has become an arena of survival between humans and predators that have existed for more than 200 million years. Bangweulu is where the boundary between humans and nature is more fragile than ever. Do you think humans are still strong enough to maintain this balance? Leave your comments below. From northern Zambia, a professional hunter is summoned by the government to the Bangweulu swamp, where invasive crocodiles are terrorizing the region. He doesn't come to hunt for fame or reward, but for a heavy duty, to protect the community.
Is the engine clear?
With him is a small team of 3 technicians, a ranger and a local guide. They carry specialized rifles, water-piercing bullets, video cameras, GPS devices and infrared lights to track movements at night. Everything is checked carefully, from the radio to the boat's engine. Each click of the gun as it is loaded adds to the tension in the air, a reminder that any mistake could cost lives. Even though he had faced buffalo or jaguars before, he still felt the difference. Crocodiles did not look directly at their hunters. They looked from underwater, hiding between death and absolute silence. When dawn broke, the mist still covered the lake. He took a deep breath, put his hand on the gun, his voice trembling slightly but determined. Today, we are not just hunting crocodiles. We are taking back peace for this land. The boat started its engine, gliding into the murky water, the hunt for life and death between humans and ancient predators that have existed for more than 200 million years. The first encounter took place as the sun had just set behind the reeds. The Bangweulu water was as calm as a mirror, save for the soft hum of the boat's propeller. Then, suddenly, a small wave rippled, revealing a huge black shadow creeping towards them, less than 20 meters away. The crocodile was more than 4 meters long, its body as thick as a log, its rough back reflecting the deep red sunset. It did not rush forward, but emerged silently, its golden eyes shining through the mist like 2 sparks of fire. The hunter held his breath, his hand gripping the rifle tightly, the scope locked on the target, moving slowly on the water surface. The team did not say a word. Everything was immersed in a suffocating silence, only the sound of heartbeats mixed with the gentle waves lapping against the side of the boat. The crocodile turned its head only a few meters away from them, its giant jaws opened, water dripping down its teeth. The hunter measured the distance one last time. His breathing slowed. The moment lasted for what seemed like an eternity. Then boom! The shot tore through the air, lightning flashing across the water surface. The water exploded as if it had been torn in two. Waves shot up high, hitting the side of the boat hard. The team swayed, the smell of gunpowder mixed with the smell of damp mud. Then, silence. No sound, no movement, only the murky water gradually settling. All eyes focused on one point, where small bubbles rose and disappeared. At that moment, the whole swamp seemed to hold its breath. No one knows whether the crocodile was down or just hiding under the dark water, waiting for an opportunity to counterattack.
Okay.
But crocodiles aren't the only species threatening ecosystems. Elsewhere, a red army is advancing on millions of red crabs that have invaded a tropical island. On Christmas Island, off the coast of the Indian Ocean, the ground seems to be shifting. Once a peaceful haven for seabirds and rainforests, every road, coastline and residential area is now dyed red by a thick blanket of crabs. They crawl through yards, spill into streets, and even climb walls and fences, creating a scene that is both spectacular and terrifying. According to ecologists, the number of invasive red crabs has increased dramatically due to the decline of natural predators, along with climate change, which has made the reproductive cycle longer and more sustainable. When the entire island is dyed red by an army of invasive crabs, what is nature trying to tell humans? Subscribe to the channel now to learn about the strangest and most terrifying phenomena on the planet. As they migrate seasonally, swarms of millions of them flood into the sea, destroying vegetation and threatening the island's biological balance. Residents have had to erect special fences, temporarily stop traffic, and even use bulldozers to clear roads. The scene, while seemingly a natural miracle, is actually a warning sign. When humans alter the environment, creatures respond in unpredictable ways. On Christmas Island in the middle of the Indian Ocean, every year during the rainy season, the entire island is ablaze with a red flood of more than 120 million red crabs pouring out of the deep forests, heading towards the sea to breed. This huge migration causes the ground to shake, covering roads, yards, and residential areas. Cars are forced to stop, traffic is paralyzed for hours. Many crops are destroyed, drainage systems and machinery are clogged by millions of crabs squeezing through. This phenomenon, while spectacular and wildly beautiful, is becoming a serious ecological challenge. As their natural habitats have shrunk, red crabs have lost the boundary between forests and residential areas, forcing them to spread out in all directions. Environmental experts have had to deploy creative measures, erecting dozens of kilometers of plastic fences to guide the crabs' paths, and building overpasses and tunnels to help them move safely across major roads. However, the migration is still out of control. People call this red season, the season when humans have to give way to nature. And in this scene, a question is asked over and over again. Is this a biological miracle or a warning that we have interfered too deeply with the natural order? Faced with the spread of the red wave of red crabs, humans have had to deploy a series of measures to regain control on Christmas Island. Plastic barriers have been erected along the roads, and artificial migration routes have been designed to direct the crabs safely to the sea, avoiding traffic jams and crop damage. Agricultural protection campaigns have been launched, and people have volunteered to clear the roads and guide crabs through overpasses or underpasses. But despite the efforts, the migration of hundreds of millions of individuals has not been able to stop the red wave from surging like a phenomenon beyond control, covering everything in its path. When nature gets angry, no species is completely safe. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, in Zambia's Bangweulu swamp, another war is underway as people continue to face invasive crocodiles day and night. Like the residents of Christmas Island, they erect fences, install protective nets, patrol with boats and infrared lights to protect their livestock, crops, and even their lives. Two different lands, two different species, but one common reality: humans are trying to fight the imbalance they themselves have created. Because whether it's the red wave rolling on the island or the glowing yellow eyes in the swamp, nature always finds a way to remind humans that we can never really control it. Both the crocodiles of Bangweulu and the red crabs of Christmas Island are clear examples of the consequences of ecological imbalance. In Zambia, the Nile crocodile population has skyrocketed, disrupting the aquatic food chain. They prey not only on large fish, but also on small fish and waterfowl, depleting fish stocks and directly affecting the livelihoods of local fishermen. When fish disappear, algae overgrow, making the water murky and depleting oxygen, causing a series of other aquatic species to die off, a dangerous chain reaction that humans cannot reverse, weeds, because no one dares to venture near them. Meanwhile, on Christmas Island, hundreds of millions of invasive red crabs each year have eaten away almost all of the coastal vegetation and rainforest. The destruction of tree root systems makes the soil more susceptible to erosion, and many birds and insects lose their nesting sites. The dense migration of crabs also chokes the water supply, disrupting the delicate balance between land, sea, and native creatures. Two species, one aquatic, one terrestrial, but both are a direct result of human interference with nature. When one link is altered, the whole system collapses, and whether crocodile or red crab, they are doing the only thing nature has taught them: to survive. Because when nature gets out of control, any creature, including humans, can become an invader. From Africa's misty Bangweulu swamp to the red Christmas Island in the Indian Ocean, humans are facing the age-old question: protect or destroy? Each decision carries its own price. Let go, ecosystems collapse; control too much, and nature rages. Between these two extremes, the line is so thin that even a small mistake can turn paradise into ecological hell. In Zambia, hunters' gunshots ring out in the swamps, not out of bloodlust, but out of fear of being swept away by ancient predators. On Christmas Island, people race against the red tide of crabs, trying to save their crops from being swallowed. In both places, humans are fighting not just with the creatures, but with the consequences of their own creation. Nature is not forgiving, but it is balancing. If pushed too far, it will correct itself, sometimes in the most brutal ways. A swamp swallowed by floodwaters, an island submerged in a sea of crabs, or a crop wiped out overnight. And then the question of protect or destroy is no longer for the animals, but for humans themselves. If you believe that nature still has a chance to heal, leave a comment below and share your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to continue our journey of discovery, where each story is a reminder that nature does not need humans, but humans cannot live without nature. Have you ever wondered why Texas has become a paradise for wild pigs? The answer lies in their terrifying biological instincts. The feral pig population here is exploding out of control, with a single adult female giving birth to up to 20 piglets per year. At that rate of reproduction, how long do you think it will take for humans to stop this disaster?
Sinle. Vas-y. Ouais.
In just 1 year, feral hogs can double in size like a biological storm sweeping through Texas. Left unchecked, they multiply at a terrifying rate, turning fertile fields into muddy battlefields. Millions of dollars in crop damage each season, farms devastated, forests devastated. The question is, how long can humans stand by and watch? For farmers, ranchers, and conservationists alike, this is no longer a small matter, but a life or death struggle. What was once a manageable problem has now turned into a full-blown ecological and economic disaster. Every lost crop, every plowed plot of land is a warning that Texas is on the brink of an irreversible crisis. Each video is a new journey into nature and survival. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. To combat the growing threat, Texas has rolled out a series of control measures, but nothing is more Texan than the Wild Hog Hunt Championship. Each year, more than 3,500 hunters from across the country descend upon the state, armed with guns, traps, and fiery determination. The entire state erupts in a fierce competition where every shot is not just a game, but a mission to survive, to protect crops, land, and Texan honor. For many Texans, this is more than just a hunting contest. It is a symbol. It is a celebration of fighting spirit, a way for them to stand up and defend their land from the aggressive invaders. With cheers, smoke, and dust swirling, the contest becomes a symbol of unity in the fight against the invasive threat. From Europe to Asia, feral hogs have crossed the ocean, turning the American South into an invasive nightmare, and nowhere more so than Texas. The Lone Star State is home to about 1.6 million people but has 2.7 million feral hogs, nearly double the rural population. With a frenzied reproductive rate, they are multiplying relentlessly, destroying forests and turning cowboy country into a giant ecological battlefield.